So today I got a very festive Halloween story for you guys, and to celebrate that I tried to give myself a little vampire look here, and somewhere along the line during the process I must have made a wrong turn, because somehow I ended up looking like I just killed my neighbor's cat. So we're just going to try to ignore that. Now, the story I want to tell you guys about today is the time that I was completely and legitimately convinced that I was a vampire. And before I begin, I do have to say that I grew up with no brothers or sisters. I'm an only child, but I did grow up with 4 very, very insane cousins, and they are much older than me, and were very much like my older brothers, especially in the fact that they love to play tricks on me, like convincing me that I'm a vampire. And my one cousin, who is very infatuated by vampires, and not your 2000s Twilight vampires, okay? We're talking about like the old movies. He was very into like the 1980s movies. And he even said that he wanted to name his firstborn Dracula. I hope he still doesn't want to do that, and that was just a phase he went through when he was a kid. But that being said, when he tried to convince me that he was a vampire, his expectations were that I would be frightened and scared, and that he'd get this really hilarious reaction of me being terrified. What he got instead was me being convinced that he was a vampire, and me being, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing in the world, my cousin's a vampire, I need to tell all my friends about this. So, since he didn't get the reaction that he wanted, one day when we were all in the pool, he decided that he was going to play a little trick on me and make me think that I was a vampire. And by doing that, he fled towards me as I was getting out of the pool, and he grabbed my arm and bit my hand. And he looked at me and he said, "You're a vampire now. You have to live the rest of your life like a vampire. You're not going to be able to enjoy any normal person things anymore, because you're going to be a vampire for the rest of your life. And that's going to be a very long time, because vampires are immortal." When he said this, at first I was like, what? Really? Oh my god, that's awesome! I got so excited, and it was the best freaking thing I've heard all month. And now this was at the end of the summer. We were just about to start school, but not before I was about to have a sleepover with one of my best friends. It was, in fact, one of the next few days that I had a sleepover with my friend. And of course, I had to tell her the news. And she, of course, enjoyed scary things as well, because hanging out with me, you have to enjoy some sort of level of Halloween-esque scary thing. Otherwise, we're not going to be friends. So I was like, I have the biggest secret to tell you. It's going to blow your mind, okay? I am a vampire. And she was like, what? And I was like, my cousin's a vampire and he bit me, and now I'm a vampire too. It's the coolest thing in the world. And she looks at me and she's like, oh my god. She's like, I want to be a vampire. And when she said that, not a single rational thought was processed in my mind before I jumped over and bit her in the neck. I clamped my jaws on her like a pit bull around her throat, and I am lucky that I did not pierce her skin or break a vein, because I remember being pretty aggressive at this point and just, like, I just bit her neck, and I was like, I'm gonna turn you into a vampire. I was convinced that I had to bite her in the neck and drain her blood to turn her into a vampire, even though my cousin didn't bite me in the neck, he bit my hand. Again, we were like SpongeBob and Patrick. We would believe anything you'd tell us, and we didn't have to have any rational thought about it. We'd be like, okay, not gonna speculate this information. We believe you. I probably, at this point, didn't have my front teeth because they were in the process of falling out and getting my adult teeth in. You know how that works when you're a kid. And I was probably missing a few front teeth. And I think that probably saved her life, because, I did not show mercy in this situation, and I don't know why. That was a pretty messed up thing for me to do, and yeah, so she goes, oh my god, why'd you bite me? And I was like, well, you said you wanted to be a vampire, and I had to bite you. Because that's what vampires do. We, in our minds, were vampires, and we were doing vampire things. We didn't go outside until nighttime to go swimming, and we were trying to think of our lives and how we're gonna spend the rest of eternity, since we're immortal now, and we're like, yeah, this is gonna be great. This went on for about 3 weeks, until school started. I remember specifically one day, the day that I found out that I wasn't a vampire. It wasn't much longer after this point. was the day that we went to the library for one of the first times of the year. And I believe it was on a Wednesday or something. Wednesday was like library day. So we all got to go up to the library and pick out a book to rent for the week, and then we return it that next Wednesday. I go up with my jolly little vampire ass, and I'm just like, I'm gonna find a book on vampires because I am going to be this way for the rest of my life, and I need to know how to live it. So I go over to the nonfiction section looking for documentaries, for information, for health books, anything that would tell me how I should live my life as a vampire. And even if such a book existed, I highly doubt that it would be in a library in a Catholic school, but I digress. I become extremely frustrated very quick when I find that I have scanned the entire nonfiction section, and to my biggest surprise, there was no books on vampires. So I go up to my librarian in complete frustration and aggravation, and I go, I need your help. I can't find a book that I'm looking for, and I really, really would like to rent it, but it just doesn't seem to be here. And she goes, oh, of course, yeah, let's go over and see. So I walk her to the nonfiction section, and I point to the bookshelf, and I'm like, there's no books on vampires. Why aren't there any books on vampires? And she looks at me and she says, well, honey, I think you're in the wrong section. You know that the vampire books wouldn't be over in the nonfiction section. And I look at her just with this like blank expression on my face, like, oh, really? And she's like, you know why, don't you? And I say, no, I don't. It should be right here, right? She says, no, honey, see, vampires don't exist. So they wouldn't have a nonfiction book on vampires because they're fictional. And at first, despite the fact that in the back of my head I knew at this point, I was like, God damn it, my cousin's tricked me again. In my mind, at first, I'm like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Of course vampires exist. I'm a vampire. How would I exist if vampires aren't real? I spend the rest of my day realizing things. You made it to school here walking out in the sunlight, and you didn't fry like a pancake on the sidewalk. You are Italian. Your family makes stuff with garlic almost every single day for dinner. And your stomach has not exploded into a million pieces. And you are not dead. You are in a Catholic school, surrounded by not only nuns, but holy water, and directly connected to a church. Yet every time you walk through those doors and put your hands in the holy water, you do not evaporate like a slug being covered in salt. Maybe your cousins lied to you again, and you're not a vampire. My soul, whatever was left of it, was broken into a million tiny little pieces, just like... I was completely shattered inside. I was dead inside at this point. And not because I was upset about the fact that I wouldn't be living the rest of my life as a vampire, which I was, but because I had just wasted an entire month being completely convinced that I was a vampire, and I just looked like an idiot. So now the next possible thing that I had to do was call my friend up and let her know, oh, we're not vampires, and live the rest of our lives pretending that this never happened. And that's pretty much what happened. That's pretty much what we did. And now, at the age of 23, I look like I'm 14. I can't go out in the sunlight because I get sunburned in 20 minutes, and I just recently found out that I can't eat garlic because I have IBS and it makes it worse. Maybe I should check the nonfiction section of a real library and not a Catholic school. Thanks a lot for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, let me know so that way I can film some more of these really random, cringy stories for you. And with that being said, I hope you have a really great Halloween. Stay safe, and enjoy your candy, enjoy your treats, and enjoy your parties tomorrow. I'll be at work being very bored because nobody's going to be shopping because they're going to be taking their kids out trick-or-treating. Have a great day, and I'll see you later.